All right. Live and direct. The Inaugurapalooza.
What is happening today?
We don't even have to do an intro. No one's going to watch this afterwards because no one's going to care what happened on the inauguration after the inauguration.
Yeah. Just enjoying this very classical rendition of something rather.
This is the March of the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, they invited the insurrectionists.
Hold on, you got to wait till people come. They haven't come, and we're making jokes that people aren't seeing yet. You have to wait till they get here before we make jokes.
Isn't that amazing? They invited the insurrectionists, though.
It is nice. Do you think they got a special invitation?
Unity. So it appears everybody had to get a COVID test. Who's there? I just saw on the New York Times Live.
That hasn't
analysis.
That hasn't stopped people from spreading COVID before.
Yeah, I know.
Good morning, everybody. If you're just tuning in, and we'll say this a few times because people will just be tuning in, Newsbeat podcast is celebrating the inauguration. And we figured if you're going to watch the damn thing, you might as well watch it with us. Oh, here come the OGs. Here come the OGs.
He does not look happy.
I don't know.
I think he's just tired of these things. Just keep me home. Keep me in mid-upstate New York.
Oh, God. Listen, if you're checking in with us, please share your comments. You too can comment along with this event. I'd love to know where you're checking in from, what you think of this. And we will be doing a regular Newsbeat thing where we'll talk about some items, social justice oriented. We do have a guest coming on during this show, so it's not just us bantering the whole time. But we will
Even if it was, I think that'd be cool.
It'd be the greatest thing ever.
I mean, you and I just argue on Slack most of the day anyways.
We do. We could talk about the $2,000 checks, but...
Hashtag math check.
Listen, we're live, and we're sharing this. I'm sharing it. I hope you share it, everyone. Share. Tell everyone you know that...
Share that stream.
Share that stream. Stop the steal. Wait a minute.
No, please.
No, that's not it?
No more. No more. They say if you share the stream, you beat the algorithms, but I think the algorithms are almighty, so...
You messed up. You said the word algorithm, bro.
Damn.
You can't...
Darn.
Oh, I like this remix. All right.
Will Lil Wayne be there?
Shouts to Kodak Black. Did Kodak Black also get his? I know he was rumored, but I didn't read the whole list.
I don't know.
He wasn't big enough, I guess.
I woke up to see Steve Bannon being pardoned. He hasn't even had a trial yet. It's just like, you're charged? Pardon.
That's the power of the pardon. All right, there you go.
I would say that's probably something
Pizzagate.
else that we should look into going into this next administration.
What's that?
The pardon power. You can't just be pardoning everybody for no reason.
I hear you.
Just because they gave you a nice tweet.
Well, they probably gave him more than a nice tweet. They probably gave him a few shekels. The other OGs.
Has anybody's political career has been rehabilitated the way George Bush's has?
All you got to do is start painting. It worked for Winston Churchill, as I found out watching The Crown.
Yes. Yeah. Just do it. Just do the Winston.
Do the Winston.
And then the media comes flocking.
Excuse me.
I think those paintings of our vets or something. I don't know.
Maybe so.
Oh,
Folks, special points. You get special Newsbeat points if you can, to the first person who identifies what the bottom part of our image is in reference to. Don't say anything, Rashad.
I mean, what is that? The bottom. It's hard for me to
if you know it, you'll know it. Just don't.
It looks like a lacrosse stick or something that's on a seat.
All right, just leave it alone. Anyway, here we go. Ooh, look at Michelle strutting. They got their swagger back.
She's definitely walking in with some swagger.
They got their swagger back.
I mean, how awkward is it that Mike Pence is going to be there, and the other guy's already at home in Florida,
I know.
sitting poolside, I guess. I don't know.
Michelle Obama got her Wonder Woman belt buckle on.
She's going to release the wings.
Oh, look at that. What reflexes.
What was that?
His scarf flew off. He grabbed it like a ninja. Like how he ducked them shoes.
The shoes?
Yo, George Bush got the illest. I bet you he's a gamer. I bet you
Please
he's
stop
on,
it.
he's
Again,
on,
you don't want to make people
he's on Twitch.
the cute old man like Michelle Obama does.
There he is. Chris Dawarski
there
joining
he
the
is.
stream.
What's up,
News
crew?
Beat, welcome to the Inauguration, Chris. We went on
Good
early
day.
because there were just so many good things happening we wanted to share with people. Do note, people, we will be having an incredible guest a little later on, which I can't share with you right now. I mean, I can share it with you. You can tell them who the guest is going to be. I can't share the image right now, but
Oh, yeah, sure. So we're going to have on Medea Hussein to talk about the Muslim ban, because the genesis, I guess if people are watching, the genesis of this thing was with Trump leaving office. We wanted to talk about, some of the issues that were important that may have, been, gotten less coverage just because of all the other scandals and corruption and craziness that's going on, and, insurrections.
those little things. Yep.
We wanted to just get a little insights on that, especially because it's reported that Biden will be repealing the ban today.
All right, very good. Among a flurry of first day executive orders to undo some of the, I guess what some would say, damage. For you guys tuning in, we still have our question of the day. What does it all mean? Please share your general thoughts about today in the comments. Shouts to Yvonne, already given her 2 cents.
I have questions about the question.
There we go. What do you mean? What does it all mean? What does this
What does it all
mean?
mean?
What does today mean? Does it mean anything? Is it, look at what? Can we just stop and come on. Moment of reverence.
I don't revere anybody other than Derek Jeter.
Come on,
Derek Jeter. That's about it.
Oh, did he give you a basket when you left his house in the morning?
Yes. In Trump Tower, I think.
Wow. Look at that. Look at her. She is rocking that
Fist bump.
outfit. All right.
I think George definitely has a crush on her, if we're gonna just be honest. And
I think she feeds his ego a little bit. She likes the attention. Well.
man,
This is
all that
impressive.
power. What did they do with it? These people. Look at them.
Well, that's part of the question of the day. What does it all mean? Some people would say, you've hit rock bottom. Again, I'm not trying to take a political stance, although it's clear what it is. But if you hit rock bottom and you're trying to get some semblance of, I don't want normalcy. What I don't like is when they say we're going to go back to. I don't want normal. I want better than normal. But does rock bottom mean that now, maybe people are kind of nervous about what could go happen if you let all this continue? Or are they just still power struck, don't care about the average person, no matter which side of the aisle they're really on?
Yeah. I mean, sorry, I was distracted.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah,
Chris,
I'm still amazed by the inaugural Palooza banner at the top.
That was good. You like that?
Maybe you guys have already discussed this, but I mean, just the surrealism of today, too, right? I mean, 4 years of just total, everybody has their own take on it, but today is the day, the actual embodiment of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power. And you have the outgoing president refusing to show up. We're here 2 weeks after a racist, white supremacist, neo-Nazi raid on one of our most sacred institutions, incited by the president, soon to be former president, to disrupt the certification of the electoral votes. We're amid a global pandemic. Typically you see these fields here full of people all packed together, celebrating.
Not only do you have that, but not being able to be there because of COVID, you have this national guard presence, this whole fortress type atmosphere.
It's a fortress.
Yep.
It's tens of thousands of troops here. These reports leading up to today of these horrific attacks that might take place. It's just, it's a lot to absorb. It's a lot to suck in. It's a lot to process.
Well, get ready to suck it in because it's here.
I knew as soon as I said that there was going to be a response.
I suck it in whenever I take a picture.
But
bringing this Corona pounds.
George W. has a very lucrative painting career.
We were talking about that. We were talking about how much it's rehabilitated his image.
His image. The guy was one of the most unpopular presidents. He took us into 2 wars. There's lies upon lies upon lies. And, they get to smile and everybody gets to fist pump and everybody's happy.
You quibble over so many details.
Details?
War crimes, whatever. No, I agree with you.
Dying in other countries.
I agree with you.
We're supposed to ignore all this?
No, I don't think we ignore it. Nobody ignored it. We just think he paints now. That's on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris had a good point, though, about the soldiers on the streets in the, one of the greatest democracies in the world. They got soldiers in the street on Inauguration Day. It's pretty astounding.
Indeed. In Newsbeat fashion, please share your comments in the comments section wherever you're watching us. We'd love to share your thoughts and interact with you. What does it all mean? Your general thoughts about today, about what's happening. We will, of course, show you the speeches, the inaugural speeches of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden when they happen. We have a guest coming up that's going to speak about the importance of the rescinding of the Muslim ban. So, in amongst all this banter, we will do in true Newsbeat fashion, continue to show you, shed some light on issues that don't get talked about as much. We were planning on talking about the Muslim ban actually as one of the several Trumpistic things that happened that, hopefully there's sort of a backpedal on or removal of or fixing of the problem. And then it so happens that we heard that the Muslim ban was going to be rescinded by executive order, I suppose, as early as today. So
yeah,
we will talk about that
in the Oval Office who's going to actually work today.
Just
however you feel about Joe Biden, he's actually going to work.
He's actually going to do something.
Yeah, and and again, we just wanted to sort of weigh in here, and there's so many different issues that took place over the past 4 years. We're just going to grab a couple of them that we've covered over these past 4 years, and just to shine an extra light on them, and to ask the question, what's going to change? Are they going to change? How are they going to change? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Is that Kamala Harris? Oh no! I thought I heard them say Vice President-elect.
Well, I'm not sure who's strolling in right now. I think it's the cast of Harry Potter.
Family?
I think it's the cast of Harry Potter. It looks like
Biden has a rather large family, so it's hard to. They're probably still streaming in.
He does indeed. All right, with that, let's cut out for a little bit as people are just streaming in, and let's talk about a couple of these items. I'm gonna jump out. We'll come back, y'all. I still have the.
We got Pence coming in. I don't know if we want to show that. But.
Oh, sure. Let's do that. That's exciting.
Robot Pence.
Robot Pence.
I mean, what is this?
Yo, he was, and he didn't.
And he didn't secretly under his.
Wait,
skin
he's not down at the rally. He's not down at the.
He pulls off his mask. Ha! It's me.
Is today the big reveal? Is it an extraterrestrial robot? Is this?
That's how rumors start. Next thing you know, they have a sex shop in the bottom of a pizzeria, bro. That's how these things start. I like how he wasn't there to see his buddy go. They are not friends. They are no longer BFFs. I promise you that.
But were they ever? I mean, I guess obviously he was a loyal soldier. Obviously, we don't give him credit for anything that he's done. But yeah, it's funny and sort of predictable to see it end this way.
25 points to anyone in the comments section who could identify where the image at the bottom of our screen comes from. 25 Newsbeat points if you can identify where that comes from.
Chris, without saying it publicly, do you know what that is?
I think I do, actually, yeah.
All right. Don't say anything. Don't ruin it. And
'Cause I
also in
don't
the
know.
comment section, please, what does it all mean? Your thoughts about today.
It
Yvonne
could
was
be
watching, and she liked the purple of
Was that Hillary?
Hillary's.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she had a fluffy ascot or whatever, just a scarfy thing emerging from her bosom, and
I do not know what an ascot is.
of course
Like-
you'd know, Sassy. Of course, John Sasala gets 25 Newsbeat points for knowing where that's from. I hope he enjoyed the reference, and I
What
hope
do you do
others
with those
as
Newsbeat
well.
points?
Oh, they're even more important than whose
Trade
line
them
is it anyway points. So shouts to John Sasala on the check-in. Shouts to you on the check-in if you're watching. We will be playing, of course, the speeches, the important parts of this whole pomp and circumstance, the inaugural speeches, the swearing-ins. We also will have a guest in a few moments to talk about the importance of the Muslim ban being rescinded, very, very likely by Joe Biden today. So please stick around for that. Then we'll switch back to live coverage. We will, like I said in promoting this, if you're going to watch the damn thing, you might as well watch it with us. So Newsbeat is here to guide you through. We're going to switch real quick. And can you key up, Rashed, the news bite that is mine? What up, Eddie Obando on the check-in? Just while I change screens and stuff, can you handle that for me? Thank you.
All right, so I think you're going to you're going to talk about this sort of insane thing that I guess happened over the weekend, where the NSA is installing a Trump loyalist into the agency, and obviously that comes at a critical time in terms of civil liberties after what happened on January 6th.
Right.
And obviously, there's a lot going on there. So, what do you want to say about this, Manny?
So there's some funky things that happen at the end of any administration. I'm curious to your thoughts. You guys have been covering civil liberties for quite some time as journalists, gone down, from whether it's Chelsea Manning or whether it's any of the abundance of issues we've covered back at the Long Island Press or here on Newsbeat, and what this means to have the general counsel, basically the lawyer for the NSA, being burrowed in by Trump. In other words, this is someone who's not appointed, so can't be fired or removed very easily. It's a civil position. They get some protections. They could be there for a bunch of years. And they're the lawyer for the NSA. So to my mind goes to like things like when they argue in Supreme Court about whether cops can go in your cell phone or things like that. I don't know if that's exactly the same thing, but some civil liberties, some spying techniques, some spying on American citizens, which the NSA has been doing before. How dangerous is it that this person has been burrowed in and will still remain very likely for some time until Biden administration can figure out how to get rid of him?
Well, I mean, I think first it's important to understand that this is all administrations try to borrow or hide or load up, all these agencies with their loyalists.
Right.
It's just what they do. Whether it's patronage or just, for what looks like this guy's purpose, I mean, is spy too harsh a word? I mean, let's talk a little bit about who this guy is, right? So he was the former aide to Republican Congressman Nunes,
Right.
who oversaw or was supposed to oversee and actually do a probe, right, into potential Russian meddling in the 2016 election.
Right.
What we know now is that this guy, who's now, from what I understand, right, he's been installed. He's installed in this position.
He was forced to because they fired all the bosses in the Pentagon, and then made the Pentagon boss that they put in there, made them install him, made him put him in before he loses his job, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I believe this was the guy who who put classified status on some key pieces of evidence that they needed during that probe, and also I believe during Trump's first impeachment, right? And it wasn't really supposed to be classified. So we have sort of obstacles.
Yeah, I think you're referring to the phone call, right, Chris? The Ukrainian,
right, with the Ukrainian president. So we have this guy putting in obstacles to get at the truth, right? So that's just one example. Rashad, do you want to throw in a couple of things? I mean, I know this guy had his hand in a lot of different things.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, what if it's an aide of Devin Nunes, you're concerned right away because I mean he's basically led like a counter intel initiative,
Right.
for Trump during his entire presidency. He's probably been his chief backer in in Congress. I don't think there's anybody else you could point to that's supported him and backed him the way that Nunes has. And I think wasn't Trump giving him a Medal of Freedom or something?
Yeah,
I mean,
he was giving. So he was
incredible.
rewarding. I mean, you can make the argument. He was rewarding him for all those maneuvers he did during these critical, which should have been critical probes.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, well,
The
from
question
what I
is, what are
understand,
they going to do forward?
yeah, from what I understand, it's really hard to get rid of somebody, and this is the lawyer for the NSA. So that is, as the word on the website here says, problematic. I think indeed. The other thing we wanted to focus on quickly was the environment. This has been a big thing, Chris. I think you were. This was your news bite of the day, just to remind people how much has been undone from the improvements to environmental protections over the past few years. My guess is that all this stuff was done so that big companies could, not be regulated and, and do all kind of ecologically damaging things for profit. And that was something that President Trump seemed to be really into. I'm just a layman. He seemed to be about helping people make money.
Yeah,
the cost of everything.
Again, these are obviously the climate is something we've covered. It's very important. I mean, right off the bat, he gets in office and leading up to his election in 2016, he promises to resurrect coal. We're talking about climate change and stuff, and he's talking about resurrecting coal. When he gets in, he implements more than 100 regulatory rollbacks, everything from clean air and water. Go down the list. He pulls us out of the Paris Climate Accords.
Something that will also be reversed apparently today.
Yep. He installs, his boys, his cronies, his lapdogs into the top EPA positions. They start deregulating all these things, which is supposed to keep the public safe. Drinking clean water, breathing clean air. He
But we have the cleanest
protection.
the cleanest air, he says.
The cleanest
Right.
air.
I mean, it's
People
just
told him.
incredible.
A lot of people were saying that he had the cleanest air.
And it's the environment that to me, people, diehard, that you always have the diehard Democrats, diehard Republicans, but to me, it's really the environment that separated the two, right? I mean, just continuing with that list, he rescinds protections for endangered species. He opens up preserved lands to the highest. I'm sorry, that's actually. So Phil and I are supposed to get lamb today.
That's
what
someone's hungry. I know what you're getting for lunch today.
Is it one of the reasons why I keep smiling during this? I don't know.
Preserved lambs. Don't open up those preserved lambs.
But yeah, we're supposed to be getting a nice meal today.
This is a good link. This New York Times link. Oh gosh.
Yeah, they've been having a running count for. I think Manny, if you want to put it on the screen, I think the president-elect is walking in.
I'm doing something because Sage needs something. There it is. All right. Shouts to Sage helping us out in the background. Oh, look at this.
There she is.
Also purple.
I guess it's a theme.
More purple. Yvonne loves purple.
There we go. What are they calling him? The second gentleman?
I believe second gentleman. The second gentleman elect. That's who he is.
So there's the future in about 50 minutes, I guess.
That is an iconic image. This is a historic moment. First woman vice president, first, of course, woman of color, South Asian descent, black descent, a monumentally important day. Although, as I often say, whenever there's a first something, it sure took a long time to get to there be a first of this.
I mean, how many countries have had a woman president or prime minister?
I know.
mean, it's sort of a disgrace.
It kind of is, but glad that it happened. Nice outfit.
There we go.
Well, not as much swag. Michelle had more swag walking in. Kamala's kind of like, no, I'm here. I'm doing my, Michelle walked in like she was about to.
This probably more. Pete Buttigieg is ready to go back to Indiana. He's already tired of DC.
He's double masked. He's got double masks. Yeah, I think Michelle walked in like she was ready to throw bows, man. She was,
she feels, I guess, more vindicated than anybody else.
So once again, we're linking in the comments section of our Facebook stream to the New York Times environmental list. If the environment is important to you, and it should be, you'll notice once again all the things that Trump screwed up, the Trump administration reversed and such. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Don't forget, in just a few minutes, we will be having a guest on our show, and then we'll lead into that once she's in the green room with the last news bite. Rashed, just tee up our guest real quick so people know who's coming to talk to us.
Yeah. So in about 4 minutes, we're hoping to have on Medea Hussein. Shows, as you can see on the screen, she's special counsel for anti-Muslim bigotry at Muslim Advocates, and Muslim Advocates is a civil rights organization that defends, Muslim Americans against discrimination. They've been very busy, obviously, in the last 4 years, especially with the Muslim ban. Yep. But there's obviously a lot since 9/11, Islamophobia, and that rhetoric. So they've been combating a lot of anti-Muslim hate for a lot of years now.
I would say that the Muslim ban, very early controversy in Trump's administration, and I think the rhetoric that led up to that, even from his Muslims celebrating in the streets, dancing after 9/11, that talk was
on
something
a building or something in Jersey or whatever.
That's right, 11/11. And I think that might have even that was sort of the start of the downhill. You know what I mean? In some ways that led up to this, really nationalistic white supremacist movement that we've seen unleashed in the past 2 weeks, actually. But
I guess you could probably say, yeah, you're right. I think you hit on something. I think it's probably the first big controversy because remember, this happened like days after he was inaugurated. They issued the first ban, which was sort of insane because if you remember, they also banned people who had green cards. So there was people in the air, people are at airports who couldn't fly. There was confusion and chaos. And the one reason I wanted to talk about this today, of all days, is that if you remember just how many people instantly converged on airports across the country, the biggest airports, from New York to Texas to LA to Boston, everywhere in between, to try to fight for the people who were stuck at the airports and couldn't travel. Yeah. And the lawyers who also converged. And then for a good period of time, there was lawyers that were sleeping inside these airports, just working 24/7 to try to help people because there was just such chaos because the Muslim ban was just slapped together hastily.
Now, wait.
President who promised that.
You can't call it a Muslim ban, they said.
Yes, you had North Korea. I think there was over how many years there was 60 people who tried to come here, and Venezuela, but the Venezuelan ban didn't affect the whole population. It was just certain government officials and other high priority people that they were stopping from coming here. In the other Muslim countries, it was a widespread ban. So
yeah. And I just want to add just looking back too. You had him declaring Islam hates us, right off the bat, which demonizes. The second largest religion on the planet, over a billion people. And at the same time, you had law enforcement over and over saying that, no, the biggest threat are anti-government, far-right.
White supremacists,
white supremacists,
right.
And then look where we were just 2 weeks ago. So it's
both items that we covered in Newsbeat. For those tuning in, see us kind of doing this Inaugurapalooza. We're watching along with you guys. We're talking about some of the issues, but we do cover them. We are a podcast. If you're not sure of exactly who we are and what we do, we did cover these things. I'm going to play you a clip from our Muslim ban episode just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about, and then we will welcome our guest who's arriving now.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
The Muslim ban, as President Trump promised that he's going to do a complete shutdown for people from the Muslim world entering the United States.
We have to figure it out. We can't live like this. It's going to get worse and worse. You're going to have more World Trade Centers. It's going to get worse and worse, folks.
He initiated an executive order banning Muslims from Muslim majority countries. And they were 7 countries, including the country where my family came from, which is Yemen. the first order basically suspended even green card holders from entering the United States. And it created a lot of confusion.
We're going to move on now to the chaos, confusion, and anger growing in the wake of President Trump's immigration ban. Protests all across the country, reaction from around the world after the president signed his executive order late Friday.
Overnight outrage from coast to coast. In Boston, thousands packing the streets. Officers in riot gear in Portland. In Seattle, police pepper spraying an angry crowd. That order signed Friday, leading to instant chaos and confusion at airports at home and around the world. Travelers not allowed to board flights bound for the U.S., some, including children, detained upon landing.
It's not a Muslim ban.
Once again, a clip from our episode, Trump's Muslim ban tearing apart families caught in Yemen's civil war. A very compelling, heartbreaking, and informative episode that is as important to listen to today as it was when we published it 2 years ago, 3 years, 4 years, 4 years ago. God, we've been.
I think that may have been 2 years ago.
How have we been? How did we survive 4 years of this madness? Anyway, gentlemen, I now leave it to you to introduce our esteemed guest who is here joining us on the Newsbeat podcast live stream this week in social justice. Take it away.
Great. Yeah, we want to welcome in Medea Hussein from Muslim Advocates. Medea, thank you so much for joining us today on this historic day.
Thanks for having me.
We wanted to talk to you, especially today, because I don't know if I mentioned the introduction, but the Muslim ban was one of the first controversies that erupted in the Trump presidency, and it's interrupted and damaged the lives of so many families. So can you just talk about sort of the tragic consequences of this ban for people across the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Your colleague was right. Can't believe it's been 4 years. We're approaching almost exactly 4 years to when the first executive order banning individuals from Muslim majority countries was instituted by Donald Trump. And the impact of this has been really severe. Countless families all over the world have been separated. Grandkids have been unable to see their grandparents. People have been unable to attend weddings and funerals and graduation ceremonies and birthdays and important celebrations. Some people have been unable to receive critical medical care, medical treatment, whether it's here in the U.S. or coming from other places to receive that care. And people have also been unable to pursue job opportunities or educational opportunities because of this ban. So the consequences have been severe. And many individuals who were already waiting to enter the country, lawfully through means that they had already established, were then unable to do so because of the ban. So for some, it hasn't just been 4 years; it's been even longer than that. And we have represented clients who have been trying to reunite with their families, and it's been really sad to see how a policy like this was enacted without thought about how it was going to be implemented. We saw frenzy at the airports as soon as this went into effect. But we've been encouraged by all of the people that have stood by the Muslim community, and really, frankly, all of the lawyers and advocates that have come forward to say this is unacceptable.
And Dee, I'd love to get your take on we just sort of mentioned it, but sort of from the outset, President Trump had demonized the entire religion when report after report, even from his own agencies and law enforcement, said over and over, the threat is not Muslim extremism or even foreign extremism. It's domestic, and it's far-right groups. It's white supremacists. It's these hate groups. And then to use that as justification, like he did, to ban these travelers and really rip apart these families. I'd love to just, get your take on that, on the effect of that.
Yeah, that's really hits the nail on the head, which is that this ban was never based or rooted in national security and protecting this country. the ban was rooted in bigotry and discrimination from the get-go. And we started hearing about this on his campaign cycle. So this was even before he took office, where he started discussing this idea of a total and complete shutdown, as was mentioned, in the episode that you referred to. That was his talking point, and that was what he was using as part of his campaign cycle to rile up his supporters about this idea that we're not going to allow these people to come into the country, and we need to do something about this problem. The reality is that data suggests that that's not the real problem. That's not the real threat. And the real threat that we have that's ever pressing and ever more important here in this country is white supremacy and white nationalism. And that is something that we are hopeful that the new administration will tackle head on and will prioritize, because we've seen just in the last several weeks how that's a very, very serious threat that's really endangering the safety of not just our public officials, but the entire country.
Yeah, Medea, just the last thing for me, and you mentioned the incoming administration, and part of Biden's messaging has been about sort of healing the wounds of this country, and there's going to be a lot of that's going to have to take place over these next 4 years. And I know groups like yours are going to make sure you hold him accountable for some of the promises that he's making, including apparently today he's going to repeal the Muslim ban. So starting from that, can you just talk about, how do we, heal these wounds that were caused by this ban? And secondly, what do you think about the idea of Congress again trying to pass the No Ban Act to try to make it more difficult for future presidents to do something similar that Trump did?
Great question. So yes, today President-elect, now soon to be President Biden, has committed to and has said that he will be repealing the Muslim ban. And that's great news, but that's just the first step. So once the ban is repealed, we know that there's still a lot of bureaucratic red tape processes that have to be worked through in order for individuals to be actually reunited with their family members. So it's not as though overnight this is going to happen. And we are going to look to the administration to really simplify that process and make it as easy as possible for people to get to where they need to get to as quickly as humanly possible. So people have been waiting a really long time for this moment, and we hope that the administration is able to streamline the process so that it becomes, a reality that they can be reunited with their families. And so that's really the first step. What he's doing today is really important for a number of reasons, mostly for that impact that will have on those individuals that have been impacted, but also because it sends a message to the American public and to Congress that these individuals, people of all backgrounds, of any faith, any country, are welcome here in this country. And that is something that we as Americans have really over the years have valued, and we should continue to value that. And I hope that the message that we get with the repeal of the Muslim ban is that, along with a number of other executive actions that he's going to take today. Now, to the next step is to make sure that this doesn't happen again, like you said. And that is why we are hopeful that with the message from President-elect Biden, soon to be President Biden, with that message coming from him that this is really important. And in fact, there are indications that he's going to specifically, address the issue of the No Ban Act. And with that, we are hopeful that with this new Congress, that they can prioritize passing the No Ban Act as well. We already got through the House, and so it's just a matter of pushing it through the Senate. And again, under this new Congress, we are hopeful that we can make serious progress, because that's really going to make an impact to ensure that something like this can never happen again.
Great, Medea. We really appreciate it, and we'll make sure to keep an eye on what you and Muslim advocates are doing to make sure you hold this administration accountable, just like you did the last one. So again, we really appreciate it, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, there you go.
All right.
Radio.
Yeah,
The site is
huge.
Is it? This is their site, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Muslim
Okay.
advocates.
Good. I'm working the magic. MuslimAdvocates.org for more information about all of the good work that they do.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's been so I think while the interview was going on, we saw President-elect, as Medea kept saying, correcting herself.
So it's almost
President-elect,
time. I just want to call him
Biden
president
coming-
already.
appearing, and we have some senators talking. I think we had Klobuchar.
Yes, as
Before?
I think she had some role to play in the inaugurational campaign. Yeah, ceremonies chair.
Sure. When Obama calls you during the campaign and tells you to drop out, you know. That's what happens.
You get some perks. You get a perk or two.
Look, if you're listening, we're just gonna call it like it is.
Oh yeah, we're watching again, so that way we got to
Come on.
change it up. We got to change up the screenery. There you go. It's the news beat this week in social justice Inaugurapalooza watch party, and a real watch party it is. We will bring you the audio of the important talks. I don't think that Senator Roy Smoking Blunt is something that you're going to miss necessarily unless you're a hardcore political speech junkie. And if that's the case, then what the hell are you doing?
What are you
watching
watching?
What are
us
you doing
for?
here? That's ridiculous. It's absurd. Once again, the question of the day, we'll be talking about this, but what are your thoughts about this? What does this all mean? Is this the relief we've been looking for? I think certainly it is, but to what extent? Is it going to be politics as usual, which is still not very great? Or is Biden going to come through, get everyone vaccinated who wants to be vaccinated, get small business relief, get $2,000 checks perhaps in everyone's pocket, and maybe sign something like an infrastructure bill, something that gets jobs out to a lot of middle America, working class folks that have been struggling through these times. If he does all that stuff, he doesn't have to talk all this. Let's just unify the nation, unity. If you just do these things. Maybe you take the air out of the tire of some of the people who are, so destructive towards the idea of governance these days. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. Look, I think it's clear, that we have obviously these two parties. One party right now is obsessed with culture wars.
Yes.
And just fighting back against just progress in this country. I'm not a cheerleader for the Democratic Party, and I have my complaints. But at least
Sure.
they actually are trying to do things right now and work instead
Right.
of just try to shut down Congress until there's another election. So we'll see what happens. You mentioned a lot of great potential policies that are going to come down the line. I mean, this is something that we covered on this stream before, but canceling student debt in the early days
Right.
of his administration, that could be huge. I don't know
That
if
would
he
shut
can
some
do that.
people up.
He's still going. I think there's still talk about the 10,000 that Biden promised in his campaign. Chuck Schumer has been calling for 50,000. So there
Right.
seems to be a wide gap there. And obviously, I guess the biggest proposal, you talked about a jobs program, would be the Green New Deal or something like
yeah,
that
but
without the messaging.
Right, but I don't think they can skip right to that. As much as I'm a progressive-minded guy, and I want the progressive wing to have something. I think the stepping stone to that could be an infrastructure bill, something that's got kind of wide bipartisan support. It'll put a lot of jobs out there in the right places. It won't seem threatening. I think that some of these folks, and I can't speak for middle America or folks who work in some of these, I don't want to say antiquated industries, but industries that don't really have a future if you're going green. They get threatened. They feel threatened. They don't know how to, do this stuff. They don't have those opportunities. But if you could pass an infrastructure bill, get people working on things that we need anyway. We need some of that stuff to be done anyway. It's bipartisan. People have been calling for it for a long time. Then maybe maybe the thought of a Green New Deal isn't as off-putting or threatening or frightening to people. So I don't know, and it's not like it doesn't need to be done. It's not like it's something that can't be done. So my guess would be that should be obviously past vaccinations and stopping the pandemic, getting small business relief, extending unemployment, doing some of the monetary things that they're doing. That would be something that I think might be something that could, again, take the air out of the tire. Not the extreme radicals, not the crazy, not the people.
I don't know. I mean, who
Not
are
the insurrection
radicals?
movement.
Because when Obama became president, Mitch McConnell famously said that his number one job was to prevent him from being two-term president.
Right.
That meant he was going to shut down the Senate, basically.
Right.
So, I don't know, like when you say radical, like who, I mean, it doesn't have to be a radical. It just has
It doesn't have to be
Mitch
an
McConnell.
insurrectionist or a Josh Harley, whatever, however you pronounce his name.
No, he's the victim. He's the victim.
Can we talk real quick about how I don't think there should be any religious invocations during ceremonies like this?
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I guess
Is that a hot take?
Look, if it's his religion, I don't see why not. I guess
I don't know.
If
Yeah,
this
but
it's different than just like going to a school and.
I'm saying he went to
gospel.
mass in the morning though. He can get his prayers and his religious anointments and whatever there. I think putting it on stage, a lot of times, and I don't know if they'll. It's a good question. Like, what would happen if an atheist or agnostic became president? But I just feel like maybe it's always something that feels exclusionary to me.
Let me ask you this.
You know what I mean?
I
don't
put
know.
you on the spot.
Sure.
If I don't see how this is possible in this country, but if a Muslim person became president,
Sure.
and they wanted to have an imam there, would you be down with that? Because it's something new. It speaks to the part of the country that's been vilified for so long. Or again, you would you still wouldn't want that.
Certainly. I wouldn't that shouldn't change this tradition, but I wonder about sort of, religious intonations in government things. Like, it's not always this, they'll start another, ceremony with an invocation. And again, that happens all the time. So yes, of course, if a Muslim guy absolutely should have an email. I guess I'm saying it should be all or none. And in my opinion, it should be none. Not to discriminate against any religion, but that's the whole point. Like, it should never feel exclusionary. If you're watching someone and you feel like, well, everyone gets this this prayer, but we don't. Like, a Jewish person watching or whatever, it just doesn't feel like you're included. So then why have
I guess
it?
if they did a multi-denominational ceremony, but
Well,
look,
they
at least
couldn't
this one isn't phony because obviously Trump never really.
That's
not
true,
a
too.
religious person. So.
That's true. Are they doing something? Are they doing a moment of silence? Should we participate in a moment of silence? Is that what's happening here? They all look like they're a moment of silencing. Oh no, they're just.
He's not silent.
Maybe they were. I don't know. Not that No, they're all praying and stuff.
They're all talking under their masks.
That's fine. Let them pray. We'll talk.
Yeah.
I mean, look, separation of church and state, right? But also, just part and parcel of our democracy is expression of religion, right? So on both of you guys' points, if it's personal to the individual person, who's getting sworn in.
Right.
And
I don't know. It's a debate. I always wonder because, like I say, it's a. Oh, all right. Yvonne wants us to listen to the words.
We trust in the counsel of the letter of James. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you.
I mean, she's
Pope
right.
Francis
we should know the
has
context of what's
reminded
happening.
us
It's true.
how important it is to dream together.
I'm sure he's saying good stuff.
By ourselves, he wrote, we risk seeing mirages, things that are not there. Dreams, on the other hand, are built together. Be with us, holy mystery of love, as we dream together. Help us under our new president to reconcile the people of our land, restore our dream and invest it with peace and justice and the joy that is the overflow of love. To the glory of your name, forever, amen.
Let love overfloweth. All right, I guess we could support that message.
I'm down with love. Fist bump. Oh no, they shook hands.
I don't know. See, we don't want to be doing that.
Well, Biden is wearing bulletproof gloves, so I'm sure it's fine. All right, a nice message for sure. Thank you, Yvonne, for the reminder that we should shut up and listen sometimes. And we will. We'll obviously not talk over inauguration speeches and things like that. So stick with us. Let's watch it.
Well, we might have something to say.
We may throw in a couple of words, a la the bottom of our screen.
This is very different. Obviously, a different feeling for a lot of the country as opposed to 4 years ago. And then I
Because no crowds and stuff.
I just remember the three of us were in the same room, back in our office days. I think you were there.
Oh God,
Manny,
we were. Yeah.
watching American Carnage
That
on
speech.
TV. And I mean, I can't recall ever a speech that sort of just like, was a gut punch like that one. It was full of negativity, the worst of America.
Right.
And it was funny coming from, a Republican who, they talk about American exceptionalism.
Well, he didn't
That was
write the
American
speech.
Carnage.
Yeah, he didn't write the speech.
I think that was a
being
Steve
fed
Miller.
lines.
Was that a Steve Miller production?
That sounded like a Stephen Miller production. What's going to happen to Stephen? What's going to happen to some of these people? Are they just going to end up on
Probably one of the
OANN?
biggest things. Like, yeah, they might just become a
Trump-
pundit, or there's going to be like a conservative, not if you want to call Trump a conservative think tank, right? That's going to hire all these guys to spread their message. The 1776 Commission is going to become a book.
Yeah, and a podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Lady
Gaga? Wow. Look at that. I thought
So
it was.
I think she's singing I think she's singing the national anthem.
I thought it was Queen Elsa. All right, hold on. Let's see. Let's see what Lady Gaga is gonna do. She was good in that movie, though.
I think she was nominated.
Yeah, she was good. And she can sing. No question about that. Surely better than I can.
Is
Where's
that
she
a
going?
dove on her? I don't know my birds. Is that a dove on her?
I guess it has a little leaf in its mouth, so I guess, yeah. Gold microphone. She ain't playing around. Ooh. It's exciting.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave on the land of the free and the
All right. All right.
So do we think
You
that
shut me up,
microphone was
Lady
a-
Gaga.
Do you think that microphone was a holdover from like Trump karaoke nights or something? I mean,
It did
where
seem a little
I've never
Trumpish.
seen- with the attached to the golden toilet. That was
What's
pretty
he
good.
saying? Oh, hot mic. She's on a hot mic. She said something. I love you guys. Aw. That was pretty good. She did it. Shouts to Lady Gaga. Good
Ladies
choice.
and gentlemen, please welcome from the city of South Fulton, Georgia Fire and Rescue Department, President of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3920, Fire Captain Andrea M. Hall.
All right. Well, I mean, we could have it on, I guess. I don't
know what this is.
Do we gonna listen to every speech? We didn't really plan this part.
I pledge allegiance
Oh, I see.
I am interested
the
to
flag
hear
of
the
the
pledge.
United States
the poet,
of America,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
and to the
Amanda
republic
Gorman.
for which it stands,
Oh, she's doing
At
a
some
sign
point.
language
one
too.
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The inclusive pledge. I could get down with that.
100%. My wife was learning sign language for a while before, COVID shut it down at a church out here in Newark. Very cool. I was very intrigued and proud of that.
What you are all about to be part of America is a historic moment of firsts. To administer the oath to our first African American, our first Asian American, and our first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, it is my great privilege
Showtime.
to welcome to the inaugural stage the first Latina to ever serve on the Supreme Court of the United States of America, Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
All right.
I think she's using Thurgood Marshall's Bible.
Ladies and
Wow.
gentlemen, please
Okay.
remain standing for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Showtime. Well, she got a lot of littles
raise your right
in her
hand
family that are really
and
proud
repeat
moment
after
for them.
me. I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear
She mispronounced her name.
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
That's big.
Sotomayor, you gotta get the name right.
I know. How do you
Gotta get
mispronounce
the
the
name.
name? It's such a thing.
Everybody knows.
Ay,
People
ay,
mess up
ay.
her name. You gotta know.
I think it's one of those kids, like, you want so much to say it right that you end up saying it
And
wrong.
then you get up there and it just comes
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
I think Pence is just finally happy to get out of there.
Oh, he is so happy.
Thank you,
He's so
Kamala.
happy to have survived.
Thank
to,
you for
you know-
beating him.
I don't think he wanted to do this for another 4 years.
No way.
I don't think Trump wanted to do this for another 4
Ladies
years.
and gentlemen, please be
I don't think he
seated.
ever wanted to do it for the first 4 years.
He did not. I'm still seated,
right.
but Maroon
obviously that's
5. No, I'm just kidding.
Please welcome Jennifer Lopez to perform "This Land Is Your Land" and "America
Shirt
the
comes
Beautiful,"
off.
accompanied by members of the President's Own
I predict
United
J-Lo.
States Marine Band.
Yeah. She was scheduled, Rashad. That wasn't like you were a psychic.
I have CNN on my other screen and it's ahead of it. So.
I just remember during
No spoilers.
I just remember during when he couldn't even get Bruce Springsteen cover band to
I know. Yo, Trump couldn't get anybody. I never want to hear YMCA again, to be honest with you.
Oh, God.
He left
Played
the
it again today.
YMCA.
You know, Obama had Beyonce, Jay-Z had U2 playing on the mall. Like
Obama brought Jimi Hendrix back from the dead. That's how much props he had.
Alicia Keys saying Obama is on fire.
when you
That's
can't
what
get
I
a cover band to play the inauguration.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking down that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden indivisible con libertad y justicia para todos. Let's get loud. 'Cause this land was made for you and me.
Well.
First of all, I think she's one of those people that you don't need to identify, so it's just funny when her name pops up, telling you who it is.
That's true.
Are we going to get a Nipsey Hussle rendition of his oh-so-famous track?
Well, that was great.
Oh, that'd be great.
The sun is
That'd be
shining,
something, huh?
and
That'd be
Mr.
something.
President-elect, this is the first inauguration in the history of America where J-Lo was the warm-up act for Chief Justice Roberts. With that, it is now
she's so
my
bad.
distinct honor
Sorry.
to introduce
J-Lo.
the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United
All right,
States,
here it goes.
John Roberts, to administer the presidential oath to the next President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden.
Ladies
A lot
and
of tears
gentlemen, please
today.
stand for the oath of
It's
office,
an
followed by
emotional moment.
musical honors.
A lot of tears.
Eve's a fan
Eve's a fan.
of Klobuchar's jokes.
Oh God. We made it, y'all.
Not yet.
I hate you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Yeah.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States,
and will, to the best of my ability,
will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And there it is.
There it is.
The heart of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power.
I'd like to congratulate anyone who had a peaceful transfer of power in their prediction list. There were a lot of people who said that Trump would not leave the White House under any circumstance. He's gonna dig a hole underneath the bowling alley, and there were some people like me who said he will. But I do fear the period of time between Election Day and Inauguration Day, which came obviously true in some regards. But he did indeed leave, and we indeed had a peaceful, relatively, transfer of power.
I mean, it's just sad that we had to deal with a historically insane grift for the last 2 months after the election
Ladies and gentlemen,
was
please
decided.
be seated.
Well, I think it taught us something. And like I say, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom to see the light. This guy.
I mean, I'm sort of with you. I don't think I ever anticipated him just like locking the doors and barricading himself. He's not. I mean, he tries to come off as a tough guy, but he had shin splints.
He is not a tough guy. He's not a tough guy. I don't care what you think. All right. Now, so my question was, he's inaugurated now, but technically doesn't take the office till 12:01, right? By constitutional law.
So you're still worried?
I'm still worried. Of course, I'm still worried. That's 10 minutes. Anything with Trump, anything can happen in 10 minutes.
I don't know. John Roberts just called him Mr. President, so I think it's.
He did.
I think it's officially over.
I wonder if that part of the.
I will think. I would say that it's funny that Biden had his. Obviously, it was important to have his moment of healing last night, and then Trump today decided to actually acknowledge people are dead for the first time.
Right.
But just goes to show just his character. Obviously, Biden says something and he has to react.
My fellow Americans, a moment we have all been waiting for. It is now my great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Dark Sage on Twitch. Go ahead. Give us your question. We'll give you a halfway serious answer.
Chief Justice Roberts, Vice President Harris, Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell, Vice President Pence, my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans. This is America's day. This is democracy's day, a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew, and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again that democracy is precious. Democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed.
Got a point.
So now, on this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold, optimistic, and set our sights on the nation we know we can be and we must be. I thank my predecessors of both parties for their presence here today. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. And I know the resilience of our Constitution and the strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot be with us today, but whom we salute for his lifetime in service. I've just taken the sacred oath each of those patriots have taken, the oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union. This is a great nation. We are good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far. But we still have far to go. We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now. Once-in-a-century virus that silently stalks the country. It's taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in all of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. A cry for survival comes from the planet itself. a cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism that we must confront and we will defeat. To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity. Unity. In another January, on New Year's Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
And everyone is united.
When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." My whole soul is in it. Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause.
70% of Republicans think he's an
Uniting
illegitimate
to fight
president.
the foes we
That's
face.
the problem with saying unity.
Anger, resentment, and hatred.
Nice on paper.
Extremism, lawlessness, violence, disease, joblessness, and hopelessness. With unity, we can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools.
Praise the
We can
cameraman.
overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make health care secure for all. We can deliver racial justice, and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world. I know speaking of unity can sound to some like a foolish fantasy these days. I know the forces that divide us are
You heard
deep,
you.
and they are real.
Okay, tell me more.
But I also know they are not new. Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all are created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured. Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward. And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge. And unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed in America. We've acted together. And so today, at this time, in this place, let's start afresh, all of us. Let's begin to listen to one another again, hear one another, see one another, show respect to one another. Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured. My fellow Americans, we have to be different than this. America has to be better than this. And I believe America is so much better than this. Just look around. Here we stand in the shadow of the Capitol Dome, as was mentioned earlier, completed amid the Civil War, when the Union itself was literally hanging in the balance. Yet we endured. We prevailed. Here we stand, looking out on the great mall where Dr. King spoke of his dream. Here we stand, we're 100.
Shut up.
Years ago, at another inaugural, thousands of protesters tried to block brave women marching for the right to vote. And today, we mark the swearing in of the first woman in American history elected to national office, Vice President Kamala Harris. Don't tell me things can't change. Here we stand, across the Potomac from Arlington Cemetery, where heroes who gave the last full measure of devotion rest in eternal peace. And here we stand, just days after a riotous mob thought they could use violence to silence the will of the people, to stop the work of our democracy, to drive us from this sacred ground. It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not ever. To all those who supported our campaign, I'm humbled by the faith you've placed in us. To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear me out as we move forward. Take a measure of me and my heart. If you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy. That's America. The right to dissent peaceably within the guardrails of our republic is perhaps this nation's greatest strength. Yet hear me clearly. Disagreement must not lead to disunion. And I pledge this to you. I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans. And I promise you, I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did. Many centuries ago, St. Augustine, a saint of my church, wrote that a people was a multitude defined by the common objects of their love. Defined by the common objects of their love. What are the common objects we as Americans love that define us as Americans? I think we know. Opportunity, security, liberty, dignity, respect, honor, and yes, the truth. Recent weeks and months have taught us a painful lesson. There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and a responsibility as citizens, as Americans, and especially as leaders. Leaders who have pledged to honor our Constitution and protect our nation, to defend the truth,
Bill's
defeat the
sleeping.
lies. Look, I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future with fear and trepidation. I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, can I keep my health care? Can I pay my mortgage? Thinking about their families, about what comes next. I promise you, I get it. But the answer is not to turn inward, to retreat into competing factions, distrusting those who don't look like you, or worship the way you do, or don't get their news from the same sources you do. We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, or rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts, if we show a little tolerance and humility, and if we're willing to stand in the other person's shoes, as my mom would say, just for a moment, stand in their shoes. Because here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days, when you need a hand. There are other days when we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. This is what we do for one another. And if we are this way, our country will be stronger, more prosperous, more ready for the future. And we can still disagree. My fellow Americans, in the work ahead of us, we're going to need each other. We need all our strength to persevere through this dark winter. We're entering what may be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation. One nation. And I promise you this, as the Bible says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. We will get through this together. Together. Look, folks, all my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here, we all understand the world is watching all of us today. So here's my message to those beyond our borders. America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again, not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's challenges. And we'll lead not merely by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. We'll be a strong and trusted partner for peace, progress, and security. Look, you all know we've been through so much in this nation. In my first act as president, I'd like to ask you to join me in a moment of silent prayer. Remember all those who we lost in this past year to the pandemic. Those 400,000 fellow Americans, moms, dads, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and co-workers. We'll honor them by becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. So I ask you, let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind, and for our country. Amen. Folks, this is a time of testing. We face an attack on our democracy and on truth, a raging virus, growing inequity, the sting of systemic racism, a climate in crisis, America's role in the world. Any one of these would be enough to challenge us in profound ways. But the fact is, we face them all at once, presenting this nation with one of the gravest responsibilities we've had. Now we're going to be tested. Are we going to step up, all of us? It's time for boldness, for there's so much to do. And this is certain. I promise you, we will be judged, you and I, by how we resolve these cascading crises of our era. We will rise to the occasion is the question. Will we master this rare and difficult hour? Will we meet our obligations and pass along a new and better world to our children? I believe we must. I'm sure you do as well. I believe we will. And when we do, we'll write the next great chapter in the history of the United States of America, the American story. A story that might sound something like a song that means a lot to me. It's called American Anthem. There's one verse that stands out, at least for me, and it goes like this. The work and prayers of century have brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through, America, America, I gave my best to you. Let's us add our own work and prayers to the unfolding story of our great nation. If we do this, then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best, they did their duty, they healed a broken land. My fellow Americans, I close the day where I began, with the sacred oath. Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level with you. I will defend the Constitution. I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America. And I'll give all of you, keep everything I do in your service, thinking not of power, but of possibilities, not of personal interest, but the public good. And together, we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness, a story of decency and dignity, love and healing, greatness and goodness. May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come that we answered the call of history. We met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die on our watch but thrived. That America secured liberty at home and stood once again as a beacon to the world. That is what we owe our forebears, one another, and generation to follow. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, and devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, America.
All right. So much for Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last several minutes were probably the most compelling.
Yep.
Look, we've discussed it internally. This unity messaging is, I get it because I think he actually believes it. He actually thinks it's
right.
It's necessary. He thinks he could pull it off, but I just think it's untethered to reality. I don't think it's.
I think it's like I said, it sounds good on paper. But then again, as I also said earlier, if you do a bunch of the things that you say you're going to do, then
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
you might get
Brooks to perform Amazing Grace.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it is refreshing to hear someone actually saying the words unity.
It's what a difference though between this is
a
different president.
American carnage,
unity and hope.
Unity and hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will he stick to, sounds great.
Well,
as they all typically.
It's a different version of Obama's,
Yes.
Sure.
Red states or blue states.
Right. But I liked Uncivil War. That was cute. But like you said, if 70% of Republicans think he's an illegitimate president,
it's not going to stop today. I mean, they're not going to just because he's inaugurated, they're going to go back to not believing their QAnon conspiracies.
Right. Let's see if Garth Brooks can compel us further.
Like me, I once was lost, but now I'm found.
Can we get SK the mic somehow?
Was blind, but now
the golden mic.
Yeah, where's the gold mic? Lady Gaga.
We do need to remix some of these songs.
When we've been there,
Gaga stole the mic.
10,000 years, bright shining as the sun.
I guess Obama could have sang this.
We've no less days
Or Al Green's song.
to sing God's praise than when we first begun. If I can ask you to sing this last verse with me, not just the people here, but the people at home, at work, as one, united.
Let's hear it, Manny.
Amazing
Let's hear it, Rashad.
grace.
I want you to put your whole being into it.
Lady Gaga wants to go back up there. She has the gold mic. Whoever has the gold mic should sing.
It's like a talking stick.
Like me, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
All right now.
There it is.
Oh well.
Yes,
Very
I
nice.
guess
Nicely
the
done.
speech. The speech is what I guess I expected it to be. It was just parts of his other speeches that he said throughout the campaign.
Sure.
Unity,
he's-
unity.
his stance
I
is
will
clear.
say, I do not envy the guy. He is taking over during perhaps the most tumultuous period in generations. He has multiple crises to
He's just
handle.
hugging everybody. Look at him. He's hugging everybody. Hugging every president.
W getting some love there.
Yeah. I'm going to go hug on
Yes.
everybody.
He's out. He's not even
He's out.
saying.
Yeah, that's it.
Hard not to be reminded of President Obama's singing that same song at the Mother Emanuel.
See? That's what I said.
Church.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Should just let him sing it.
There he is.
A song that in our culture.
I think we're gonna get the
both
poet. Chris, did you
poetry
do
and prayer as you
some
can
brief research on
possibly
this?
come. And we're going to finish with those.
know you mentioned her.
names.
Yeah,
Let
I
me
had.
introduce
She's,
Amanda
from what I understand,
Gorman,
she's the youngest
our
poet to be
nation's
asked
first
to
ever
recite,
national
and she
poet
wrote the
laureate.
poem
Yes.
right after the riot.
January 6th?
Yeah.
Was she from L.A.? Did I get that right?
L.A. She's
Yeah.
only 22, and "The Hill We Climb," I believe, is the name of the poem.
I'm here for this.
Amanda Gorman.
What a moment.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. In the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is hours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one.
Speak,
And
poet.
yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first. We must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
All right, poet. Speak, poet.
Yeah.
Well done. Hey, Boogie. Hi.
All right, I think that trumps
Wow.
Biden's speech. We can all go home.
That should have been his speech.
Should just taken it from her.
That's it. Huh?
All right.
Hi, bye-bye.
One of only 4 poets asked to ever read. Obviously, that last, some of those last stanzas there, we will rise, reminiscent of Maya Angelou, who read at Clinton's. I thought it was very powerful.
I thought so too. We're gonna jump in and out of some of these other speeches. Obviously, I don't want to disrespect anybody. I just wanted to. You guys saw in Slack where I sent you one of the comments from Dark Sage on. I
think I see it in the comments tab over here.
Oh, you can see it as well. I didn't know you could see that. You guys see all the comments?
We see the comments.
I didn't know that. I thought only
I
I
don't
saw it
think-
as the
I don't
admin.
think I can do anything fancy with them, but I see the
Right.
comments.
I mean, I could put them on the screen. Can we address this real quick? This is an interesting question, just while we're hearing some speeches and such.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think that one of the first things we have to dissect is whether Trump is an actual populist, right? I mean, he came into office, acting like one, but he's a notorious, con man. That shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. I mean, he's been that for his life. He sells his image.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like he comes into office, like even in 2016 or 2015, he ran to the left of Hillary on some issues. So some people were saying he's a populist. He was promising healthcare for everybody. He was promising to protect Social Security. And he was talking about helping the working class and the people working in factories across his country. And then he came into office and he gave out the largest corporate tax cut that we've ever seen.
Right.
And it did little to affect, to impact the lives of everyday Americans. But it's telling, right, that during a pandemic that has created the most uneven recession in the history of this country, that the stock market is still booming,
right?
Because the corporations are doing fine. Many of them are actually richer than they were before the pandemic,
right?
Especially, the Bezos and the Elon Musk and all those people. So I say that when I'm answering that question is because I think first you need to, reconcile with that, whether he's an actual populist. And then second, I don't know if anybody else can run like him. A Trump style candidate is, I think, very rare. And I think one of I say that because the polling has often gotten Trump wrong, especially as we saw in 2016, as we saw in this election, because
True that.
The margin wasn't as significant as people thought it may be. But the Senate and House races were closely watched, and those sort of aligned with the polling. So I think it's hard to imagine another Trump-styled candidate. I don't know who. I guess maybe if that would be one of his disciples, one of his sons or his daughter Ivanka.
Right.
I don't know if even Josh Hawley can be that kind of Trump-style.
Hawley, Josh Hawley.
So in a place like Massachusetts,
right, and even governorship,
I don't know. I just think there's such different animals. I think in the States, people actually may pay attention to some of the little things that infect them personally. Meanwhile, the federal races are more people sort of just projecting, what they want out of a leader, as opposed to what they want inside their state government. So it's a great question. And I also think there's just a lot of things to untangle there.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
So I think that's basically my answer. Is just, it's hard to imagine someone like Trump running for a local office, because I don't think that person would win in a gubernatorial race.
Interesting. Anyone else? Obviously, we'd love to discuss. I'm changing the question of the day to now. How do you feel? So after this is taking place and we're here, we've gotten here. I think that most people listening to us probably lean one way politically, so maybe there's a lot of relief and but there's still some trepidation. There's still some we don't know if everything's really going to work out, so to speak, how quickly, how effectively. There's still a lot of big problems as we talked about earlier. Just please in the comment section let us know how you feel right now. How do you feel about this monumental moment, no matter how you look at it? A big moment, a big deal.
Yeah, and for listeners of Newsbeat, for anyone that's ever listened to the podcast, I think that you can surmise that whoever is in the White House, whoever holds these elected offices of power, Democrat or Republican, they need to be scrutinized.
Absolutely.
It's great he comes with this sweeping proclamation of unity, and again, it sounds great. That obviously that is what we want,
right?
But the mainstream press, they need to dig into Biden just as much as they did Trump.
Sure, and as we have for Obama. As Rashad, you've pointed out, and I think we'll get into this in a later time, but some of the things that are already being promised, even if it's on the surface something we think we might want, added, domestic terrorism laws and things like that. Those could be two-edged swords, even coming from a Democratic president. And to your point, Chris, we need to make sure that we're all paying attention to the innards, the guts of some of these policies that are coming out, that will be coming out under the Biden administration.
Yeah, and as we know too, and as we've covered in some of our episodes, some of the greatest crimes against civil liberties happen when there are these, as Naomi Klein likes to say, these, the shock doctrine, these huge events that sort of bury all these other important causes, and things get passed, in the shadows, and next thing you know, there's a law and you never even heard of it before, and
Right.
all of a sudden, oh God, we just lost these liberties. So
Right.
it's just very, very important. As Biden just himself said, we have this whole just a whole combo of horrific things that are happening, and
Yeah.
and that is when you need to pay the most attention, because that is when these elitists and these overlords,
Right.
get all this stuff through.
Sure.
It's in the fear. It's hidden behind the fear. It's hidden behind the messages of these great things, unity and all this other stuff. So just keep your eyes open and be willing to go after somebody regardless of their freaking political party.
Absolutely, 100%. We tend to try to look at all sides and look at the issues specifically and deeply.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a collective exhale going on today. I just think that the last 4 years, even I've read stories of people who support Trump or say even they retired.
Right? How could you not be? How could you not be?
This was the
It's like-
longest
yeah.
or the shortest 4 years in your life, depending how you look at it on any given day. And it's been there he is.
There it is. And what is the brand that we're gonna enjoy today?
Currently, I think I threw the bottle away. This would be, I think it's Jim Beam Devil's Cut. Is that what they call it? Devil's Cut. Yes, Jim Beam Devil's Cut Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
At 12:34 p.m.
Amen. Salute. Cheers to the peaceful transfer of power. Let's just say that. We're glad that nothing popped off this morning. All that stuff was supposed to pop off. 50 simultaneous Capitol attacks and, insurrectionists running up the stairs and smacking people. None of that happened.
I will say, while some of this coverage has been going on, I was looking at Twitter, and it appears that the QAnon people are distressed that that Trump hasn't rounded up
Reappeared?
his political enemies and executed them.
Wait a minute.
So,
that was supposed to. So
some of them are now claiming that this was all a lie.
have you? Of course. Well,
Yeah,
have you seen the 3-month theory?
No, I don't. They're now.
So
they're
there's
now
a
doing the 17 flag theory.
Well, I saw the 1776 Constitution. According to the 1776 Constitution, presidential elections are supposed to be held in March. Some about 120 days after something. So the real presidential election hasn't happened yet. I don't know. This is a thing. There's always
I think
a
that's
thing.
as much. I think this is as much life as we're probably going to give it. I just wanted to bring it up just to show that.
Look, at the very bare minimum,
some of them are apoplectic.
At the very bare minimum, we're not gonna. The president is not gonna be retweeting or espousing, things about reptilians taking, all.
And not only that, once Twitter went away, and I know that Trump could have just come out to reporters anytime he wanted to, but you literally didn't hear from this guy in a week, 10 days. I know you didn't hear him. Do you think they're going to give it back to him? They're going to give.
I don't know. I think if
he could start a
lost
new
his
Twitter account.
I think if he lost his Twitter account 2 years ago, we'd still hear from him. I just think he was so deflated after
Interesting.
Internally realizing he lost and he's a loser to Joe Biden. I think he was embarrassed to address people. I mean, these Medal of Freedom ceremonies happen privately, right?
That's
there's no media covering
true.
these things.
Yes,
he just didn't want to show his face. So, I do get the Twitter thing, obviously, though.
And then he's like, I'm going home. I'm going home. I'm going home to the place that I can't even live. I can't really even live there.
Look, that guy talk about America has crises. That guy has loans that are coming due.
Is he going? Is there going
due.
to be? And we've talked about this offline. Is there going to be legal action taken on Trump's family, Giuliani, people who incited the insurrection, people who have abuses of power, is the Biden Department of Justice going to actually do anything, or is it because of Biden's unity? We don't want to rock the boat. Let's just get everyone on the same page. Gonna kind of like let some stuff slide. What do you think is gonna happen?
I do not think Biden wants to deal with his DOJ going after Trump and and charging him and then pending litigation and those battles. I don't even think he wants an impeachment trial in the Senate right now.
Well, that's going to complicate things, but
remember,
yeah,
this is all over, but we're still going to have an impeachment trial of the former president. So,
but you have to. But I mean,
from our minds,
right? But the other argument is that like you have to. There has to be accountability. You have to make sure that future folks know that you can't go this route. Doesn't it have to be kind of forceful? Don't you have to kind of lay the smack down somewhere?
Yeah, I think it's look, I think to provoke an insurrection against your own country, I think it's obviously the right thing to do. What I was just trying to say that as we're all taking a collective breath, that Trump is not done.
Right. Also, and to Erica Rodriguez's point, also, obviously the states are going to come in like gangbusters, I would imagine, at some point. Is that sort of thing?
Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General in New York Letitia James has been open about investigating Trump. There's also, I think the local prosecutor's office also has pending investigations. So, you might see
Vance.
That, whether it's the DOJ, I doubt that. I don't see the DOJ.
Yeah, so I think they're going to kind of leave it up to the states to like inflict that kind of get back.
Yeah, but these might be potential crimes that will predate his presidency.
True. Chris, you were going to say?
Yeah, I mean, and just separate from the crimes, the second impeachment, the upcoming trial, I mean, that's going to determine whether or not Trump can hold any office again in the future, which obviously is a big, I think, piece of the agenda for Democrats.
Just yesterday, McConnell obviously seemingly gave the green light. Like, if y'all want to vote to impeach him, I don't care. Which is kind of big. Is it going to reach the threshold of 17 Republican senators when it does come time? What's your prediction there? Will he be convicted and removed posthumously, but then prevented from? Do you think they want to make sure, they meaning Republicans, that were like, oh my God, be careful what we wish for. Look what we got. We got to prevent him from coming back. Or are they going to also say, we don't want to rock the boat with his rabid base of supporters?
Yeah, I think
it's tough to say.
McConnell is in some ways giving cover to some of the senators.
But they still have districts. They still have their own districts, right?
Yeah, I don't anticipate that. I mean, he might vote to impeach, but I don't see the Senate doing that, especially the Josh Hawleys,
Hawley,
and the Ted Cruzes of the world, who after an insurrection continued what the media is now calling the big lie.
The big lie, huh? Well, we'll see what happens.
What do you think? I don't see that. I don't anticipate.
I don't know. I'd have to. I don't. I'd have to whip the votes. I don't know. If there are enough
for a prediction.
Yeah, because you care. I don't care. Because you're like, you like to go into the details. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm the moderator. I'm not the expert here, sir. I'm just the host.
You know a lot more than you think you do.
But I'm curious to see what happens. It'll be interesting. I do hope that, and I guess that's why haven't passed over the article of impeachment, is to give time for the confirmations to take place. I like how Hawley is already jumping in and prolonging that process unnecessarily. This guy's going to be a real thorn in the side of Biden's administration. Hawley.
Well, he wants to run for president, so he's going to be out there. He's going to use this as a platform.
You know what? This sort of
to build
like
his national profile.
And Dark Sage's question earlier, and to your response earlier, Hawley's trying to ride Trump's base's coattails. He's trying to I'm still with you guys. I'm still with you. And if he can maintain his seat, unlike the QAnon lady in the Congress, who I don't understand how you could be there and not Like if I worked at a regular job and came in and started saying all these crazy things about like the management, the sales team, you know what I mean? Like I'm making all these wild accusations about my company that I work for, these blatant lies, these horrific, and now I make comments about the sales team, but now everyone in marketing is getting mad at sales because I'm starting all these. They would fire my ass in a minute. HR would be like, no, bye. And she's holding a congressional seat. Bruh.
I think that speaks to the level of disinformation, misinformation, lack of trust, the stranglehold social media has on our lives, allowing these things, these conspiracies to spread like wildfire. It informs people. And
you can't be fired.
Produces.
You can't be unseated for craziness. Like, at what point can you? I mean, all this talk about 25th Amendment. The rest of the Congress people, the House is controlled by the Democrat. If they have a leader, they can unseat people for things. Like if you went around and did something illegal, they could get rid of you.
You're assuming that the Democrats don't want the Republicans to have somebody like that in their caucus, who they could point to as this is the crazy party.
Oh, interesting. The crazy uncle theory, like the yeah. Don't want to, but yeah. And she's, I mean, maybe. I don't know. That's a good point. Damn, good point. I don't know. Wouldn't they rather have though because again, she ran. Where's she from? Georgia, right? She ran.
Who's this? Is Anne Marie?
Well, there's two, right? Aren't they like two kind of crazy aunties? The one I'm thinking about is the one who wants to impeach Biden like in 20 minutes. Because now he's in office, so she's going to impeach him right away. She ran.
Well, that's the same thing they said about Hillary.
True. That's the same
Marjorie
thing.
Taylor Greene.
Yeah, and that's the same thing they said about Trump, though. They said they're going to, who was it? Rashid Tlaib, who was like, we're going to impeach the motherfucker.
Impeach his ass.
Yeah. But which we did twice, so she was right. But the point is that she ran. And won unopposed. She won unopposed, but she didn't run unopposed. She won unopposed because apparently they harassed this candidate and scared him out of the race, him or her. I'm not sure who her candidate was, and so therefore she won unopposed.
Well,
yes, they might want somebody crazy party representative, but wouldn't they much rather the Democrat had won and furthered the blue wave in Georgia? Chris, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, for me, you can't dismiss 70 million people voted for Trump. We saw who some of these people are. The question for me is, yes, obviously the Capitol put a lot of this stuff in the spotlight, some of this horrific, just sick racist stuff, but is it enough to sort of temper that stuff down, or is it only going to fuel it more? And can these people maintain that or grow that hate really,
right,
and galvanize it at the local electors' boxes? I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, I think, a massive concern. So
yeah.
I mean, look, I'm interested in what's going to happen because you obviously had the Tea Party reaction to Obama.
Right.
I mean, you already have the QAnons out there now. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see their
I mean, you're saying now, I mean, Manny, you're bringing up here now how, this whole thing about March and all this stuff. I mean, so there's.
This lady's sitting, Marjorie Taylor Greene is sitting in Congress right now. She won 74.7% of the vote against Kevin Van Alsdaal, who unofficially withdrew. I don't know what that means, but like I said, didn't basically campaign, was run out of town by lunatics or the lunatic fringe. In 2 years when there's the midterms, like you say, which faction of the Republican Party do they push back against the lunacy, or do the lunatics start to take over the Republican asylum?
When have they ever pushed back against the lunacy?
Well,
I mean, a lot of this was encouraged.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, it's about holding power, and if they could find any mechanism any way to inspire people to vote for them, they're going to do it. Even
but think about them. Look at McConnell's. But look at
her.
But look at McConnell's backtrack now that he realizes, well, we didn't think they were going to try to take over the Capitol. Like, they're really not helping us. Look at the way Trump handled the Georgia elections, which literally lost them the Senate. You know, they have to be careful what they wish for. And I wonder that if they realize, bye-bye, Mike. Bye, Mike. Bye. Bye, Mike. Bye-bye, Mike.
You know, it's just sickening, too, because here are the people who enabled all this stuff, you know.
Right.
And so it results in something like the Capitol.
Right.
Happening.
Right. And again, it goes back.
And now they're going to say, oh, this is, you know, horrible, horrible. You've been condoning this stuff, you know, and even if it's not, you know, explicitly, and you're verbally,
of course,
condemning this stuff, your silence as an elected official is fueling that stuff.
Yeah,
you're enabling it to happen. So
that's why it goes back to, where's the accountability? There has to be accountability. You know, I know you can impeach other people. What can you do to censure a senator? Like, they have to do this. I know Biden doesn't want to get his hands dirty, but
you know, and you know, and to the point of all this,
look at that, Vice President of the United States
and Biden's speech. You know, where does all that hate go? What happens to that hate now? Can it be healed? Can as Biden, you know, was professing, can he bring everybody together? Well, is it a time for healing now? What happens to that hate?
I know we wanted to talk today to a friend of ours who appeared on an episode of Newsbeat. Once again, if you're listening and paying attention, thank you for rocking with us. We appreciate you. We did a very extensive episode on the rise of white supremacy, on the fact that for many, many, many years, the warnings have been that white supremacists are and militia groups and that kind of mentality are the real threat. It wasn't radical Islamic terrorists, as they wanted you to believe for many, many years. It wasn't Antifa and Black Lives Matter, as they wanted you to believe in recent months and years. It was, in fact, truthfully and scientifically proven that it was the white supremacists and, again, that kind of mentality. So when all this popped off, you know, people who know these things say, yeah, we've been telling you this is going to happen. We've been telling you for years. We had a very good episode about it. It's in the Newsbeat, you know, feed. So please do subscribe to the Newsbeat podcast, wherever you find podcasts, if you're interested in what we're talking about. It breaks it down. And on that show, of course, we had a guest. We had a couple of guests, but including Sammy Rangel. Was that right, Sammy? Who was part of an organization called Love After Hate that they founded.
Life After Hate.
Life After Hate. Former white supremacists, former anti-Semitic white all the deal that, you know, basically unradicalized, for lack of a better term, formed an organization to help unradicalize others. They spoke really eloquently on that episode. We're going to address this again shortly and get them back. But just based on what we heard them talk about and the effectiveness of their organization, before, it should be noted, the Trump administration stripped funding from these things, right? How effective that could be? How can we? How much effectiveness can we have if we had an all-government approach to de-radicalizing? Because that's what this is. This is no different than Al Qaeda or Bin Laden's army around the world. They're radicalized. They're picked and they're brought in and kind of. How effective can these organizations like Life After Hate be?
I mean, let's all weigh in here. I mean, I think that it can be extremely effective. I mean, we talked to Sammy, and when you hear the episode, he goes into detail. Just one of countless experiences he had where there was, I guess, a white guy who was going to go and he was considering blowing up a mosque or killing people in a mosque, and somehow this got to his group, or his parents, called the group, and they open up a dialogue, and next thing you know, that very same person who was going to commit violent acts against Muslims for no reason,
right?
He attends the mosque now on a weekly basis or something like that. So it's
right.
That dialogue, and embracing that and opening more opportunities for that. Obviously, that is not the heal all,
right?
But it is a critical piece of the equation.
and it's happened. There's receipts that that you hear anecdotally. You hear the guy. I forget. I don't know. I wouldn't know his name now. Black man was very famous for like having conversations with Ku Klux Klan members or whatever, and then like convinces them to disavow the Ku Klux Klan, and then like has a collection of like Ku Klux Klan robes that were of all the people that he kind of talked out of being in the Ku Klux Klan. So these things can happen. We've seen it happen. Could an all government approach, be the solution? The funding that they took away from I guess there were committees or organizations within the government to research white supremacy, right? To research white supremacy. That was all taken away by the Trump administration. You got to wonder why. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence.
And the funding seemed to have been stripped from groups that were looking into white extremism.
Right.
To just stripping it away from there. And then obviously the trillions spent on policies and actions to fight Muslim extremism.
Right.
So
I'm with you guys, because I think it's something that we had our own discussion about it. And it's like, and look, just think about all the issues that we've covered from a criminal justice perspective and mass incarceration and the harm that's been caused by just locking up people in prison. And we know prisons do not rehabilitate people. When they announced that they were going to start rounding up all those insurrectionists, my thing is like, okay, you throw them in jail potentially. What happens there? They need to be de-radicalized.
Right.
Because,
I said unradicalized, which is the correct word, editors.
I'm going to go with mine because I said it. So,
fair enough.
They need to be de-radicalized, and I think I think the conversation that we're having, I hope that that's something that would actually happen in the halls of power. Do the American people, especially the liberal establishment, have an appetite for de-radicalizing people who stormed the Capitol rather than putting them in prison and sending a message?
Right.
That's another question, because like you said, it needs to be the entire government needs to be all in, and I don't know if they actually have that appetite. I think they'd rather put these people in prison and put this situation behind them.
I don't know if that'll work. I think both could possibly. I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive. You can put the really super radicalized, the guy with the horns, the shaman and all, and folks like that who are kind of planning, leading, orchestrating, having weekly meetings at the barbecue, you know what I mean? Like whatever they do, those are people that you could punish legally and probably should, no matter what. At the same time, the people that they're relying on, their, under studies, so to speak, or whatever, those are the people that I think maybe can be reached because they were reached to become radicalized. I think both of those things have to happen.
Look, you're making a point. Look, as we've covered even before our years as a social justice podcast, working for a newspaper, we reported on entire summits that the White House would hold on extremism.
Right.
And even in the Obama years, a lot of the focus was on so-called radical Islamic extremism. So they did try to put these summits together. I think you make a good point. That's something that they have to reestablish now. It was called Countering Violent Extremism. And even then they were talking about right-wing extremism. During the Obama years, they quashed a report on right-wing extremism, even an Obama administration. So I think all these mechanisms needs to be put into place to try to address this. And obviously the first part of the problem is to actually identify there's a problem, and that includes the Senate and the House. Remember, there's over 100 Republican Congress people voted
to overturn
not certify the Electoral College results.
Right. Yeah, the call's coming from inside the House right now. Yeah. So there's a lot of work that has to be done along those lines. I would like to know in the Biden administration what the plans are to possibly re-engage in some of these real. He said it, and you got to give him some props. He said the words white supremacy in his inaugural speech. That was something that we had to get President Trump to, like, he danced around it in a very bad way that he dances for years, just to say, yeah, I denounce all kind of white supremacy, but Proud Boys stand down and stand by, right? So that sort of forked tongue way of speaking about it, Biden said it right out the gate that this is a problem. We're going to address it. Well, if that's the case, then what is in the, I got, dig through the website. We'll find out and we'll report back to people. What exactly are you going to do? It's not just enough to say it. And it's not just enough, like even in the Obama years, like you said, not enough attention may have been paid. I think the clip that we start that episode with was a Congresswoman, I forget, who says, I don't think.
Claire McCaskill, I think. Former.
Was that right? Was that not during the Obama? Senator. That was during the Obama administration when she was saying, I don't think y'all realize, I'm paraphrasing, I don't think y'all realize what's about to pop off. Clearly a paraphrase. But, and we proved that. Yeah, she did say that. She was off mic. She was like, it's about to pop off. And then she came to the Senate floor and said differently. So what I would like to suggest to listeners who are interested in this, followers who are intrigued by this idea of a multi-pronged, all-government approach to really squashing white supremacy, the violent kind, especially, well, I guess all kind, but you know what I mean. We'll revisit this topic. We have, again, discussed it before and had an episode on it, which is absolutely worth listening to. You can follow us at usnewsbeat.com. You can search for Newsbeat, 2 words, one love, as you see the logo up in that corner. Somewhere like there. That's what it looks like. So there's a couple of other news beats that aren't us at all. It's just helping you out. But go find us wherever you subscribe to podcasts. Go through the feed. Find the Misunderstanding Terrorism, exposing radical Caucasian extremism. Listen to that episode. You'll get a much deeper insight as to what we're talking about. And then obviously subscribe to the podcast in general because we talk about this kind of stuff all the time. We will be coming back with live stream events. Thank you for joining us for Inaugurapalooza, which is terrible enunciation. Inaugurapalooza. Thank you again to Rashed Mian, our managing editor, Christopher T., who is our editor-in-chief. I'm changing the thing. And myself, Manny Faces, the audio editor, co-producer, and host of the Newsbeat podcast and of This Week in Social Justice. We were a weekly thing before the end of last year. We will surely be back soon on a regular schedule. We're ironing out those details so that we can truly be This Week in Social Justice and not this every now and then in social justice. It doesn't have the same flair, if you ask me. Thank you for tuning in and rocking with us. Congratulations to democracy for not crumbling in the last 2 weeks right before our eyes. Any parting words, my good friends and colleagues?
I'm excited to start covering Joe Biden, the president.
We're going to look for cracks in the social justice armor, as it were. But I'm just happy. I'm just happy. I'm just happy. I'm just happy.
Want to go out and have brunch now?
I do. I'm just happy. I'm just happy. Speaking about brunch, every Sunday from noon p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be spinning the Sunday R&B brunch on bonfireradio.com. You can find us there. Find out more about me and what I do. I'll be rocking with Silent Night, the band called Fuse, and a lot of other places. MannyFaces.com. You could find me there. Promo. If y'all have websites and other events that you participate in, please plug away. No? Okay, just me.
How about we plug Life After Hate? Lifeafterhate.org. Check it out.
I put them in the comments section of everybody so they could see that. And once again, yes, please do subscribe to Newsbeat wherever you find your podcasts. And I'll put this out here. I don't know if the commenting is going everywhere where I need it to. So we're going to make that.
Oh, no. CNN's reporting on tweets.
Oh, boy. Let's switch and see what CNN's talking about. So now, lastly, before we go,
to waste, says Biden.
Oh God, before we go, immediate reactions. Do you think there's going to be any immediate response from Trumpians Trump himself, anything, or is just today going to go quietly into the sunset?
Since his digital megaphone has been cut off, I doubt it. But I don't know.
He's just going to cry himself in a milk and oatmeal bath in the
2
gold
weeks
bathtub at
2
Mar-a-Lago.
weeks ago, that Capitol where Joe Biden is standing,
I know,
had a bunch of insurrectionists scaling the walls, even though they could have just went around and accessed the door, but they all just climbed up.
Optics, man.
I can't
Optics.
predict. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, you were sure that like a lot of stuff was gonna, not sure, but I think we were thought that there'd be more, that today would be more eventful in a negative way. So I'm glad it's not, of course. I think when you bring 25,000 National Guard troops into any one place, in the immortal words of Claire McCaskill, ain't nothing gonna pop off. So
I just do hope for the people of DC and for the country that the National Guard could disband as soon as possible. I mean, to have, it looks like a conquering army there. It's just not a good sight, especially on a day to celebrate democracy.
Well, we celebrated it with the Inaugurapalooza, our inaugural Inaugurapalooza. We'll be back here in 4 years. In the meantime, do find us on the podcast networks. Do find us on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. U.S. News Beat in all those locations, I believe. And we'll be back very shortly and probably on a regular basis. But you might want to go back and check out some of the other stuff we've done. We've touched on a few of these topics with great interviews, great guests. Once again, thanks to our guest, Rashed. Rashed, thank our guest.
Oh, you caught me off guard for a second.
I know. I'm trying to reshare the screen.
I was like, I thought we were signing off.
We are, but we're thanking our guest one more time and plugging her organization.
So I want to thank Medea Al-Hussein, and she's with Muslim Advocates, and that's a civil rights organization that helps fight court battles and defend Muslim Americans from attacks.
Right. And once again, as always, thank you to Maury Creative Studios, our parent company, our parent family. MauryCreative.com, an amazing digital marketing agency that can help your business grow for good. So if you are connected to business of any kind and need some more digital marketing assistance, do check out Maury Creative Studios, a diamond level HubSpot solutions partner. Diamond is very good, by the way, just so you know. You may not know the whole hierarchy. It starts with worm, and then it goes to bird, and then like up until diamond level. So they're very high up on the digital solutions partner program hierarchy. So do check them out. It's good bourbon.
Definitely.
Whiskey. I don't know what I'm drinking.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon, y'all. USNewsBeat.com. Check us out. Tell your friends to tell some friends, and we will be back soon. Peace and love. Yes, and the broadcast. Yes.